So I'm back in Blasted Lands, and this time I want to do a little bit more of a detailed guide. I want to talk specifically about the best opportunities to weave during the French rotation. That also means I'm wearing a little bit different gear this time, some gear that doesn't have haste rating, because I think that generally more people can just relate to the 2.17 weapon speed. So weaving during the French rotation is quite forgiving and it's pretty simple to master. Essentially, you want to move in a melee attack anytime that your swing timers and your GCD allows for it. So at this stage, it doesn't really matter whether you weave before or after certain shots. And all that really matters is just not clipping your autos. Okay, so I'll do some unhasted weaving here. So it's basically just moving in anytime that your melee timer is off cooldown. And then just doing your normal French rotation. So you do end up skipping a few shots when you do this, but it's all worth it. Since your melee attacks are generally just going to do more DPS. So I want to mention a specific rotation that occurs during an aspect of the Hog proc. Since I don't think it's really mentioned or advised, but when you do get a haste proc and your weapon speed goes from 2.17 to 1.89, the best rotation to get full GCD utilization will look something like this. You'll start off with an auto shot, and then you follow it with a steady, then you'll follow that with a multi-shot, you follow that with an arcane shot, and then immediately move in and use your melee attack, whether that be rapture or just your white hit. Doing this, you will not clip at all, and it's 100% the best way for you to optimize your GCD during this haste rating. Now, if you were to replace that arcane shot with a steady shot, you would 100% clip the following auto, and that's just what we're trying to avoid. So I'll try to show an example of this. So I'm just gonna fish for a proc here. Okay, here we go. So auto steady, multi, arcane, weave. And just like that. Arcane, weave, and there you go. So the next step is going to be weaving with rapid fire up. At this point, you're going to be doing a 1-to-1 rotation, and the goal is to fit melee attacks in at the end of your steady shot cast and before your next auto shot fires. Compared to weaving during the French rotation, it definitely matters when you decide to weave. And the reason for this has to do with the mechanic that Blizzard implemented back during the early days of TBC Classic, called the Retry Timer. And essentially, if you re-engage your auto shot before your auto shot is supposed to begin casting, you will get a delay of around 0.5 or 0.4 seconds. Which is the time that it takes for auto shot to actually cast. So this is why it's generally best to move in and weave after your steady shot is fired, because you will naturally be closer to the timing of your next auto shot. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get the retry timer to actually kick in here. It's proved to be a little bit difficult for me because I've just, out of habit, I don't do it. So I'm trying to think of how I can actually do this. So right there, perfect. Alright, so you can watch my keyboard and you can see that I'm actually pressing 1 before the shot actually is supposed to fire, right? So it's about halfway, and you see I get this delay here. Now if I move in and I do it right there, and I press 1 just about the time that the original shot is supposed to fire, I'll get a much smaller delay. and that's what you want to aim for. So this is why it's best to actually weave at the end of your cast, because like I said, you're just naturally going to be a lot closer to when your cast is supposed to go off. So I hope that made sense. Alright, so I'll do some one-to-one hasted weaving. Now in this clip, I'm going to be weaving at 2 to 3, and I'm going to be popping a haste pot with my rapid fire. So that means I'm going to be doing 2 steady shots in a row, and then I'm going to follow that up with a rapid strike. Now, even though it seems kind of counterintuitive to that it's easier to weave at a higher haste rating, it just is, because you're going to have more spots where you're going to be on GCD, so you're going to have plenty of time to actually move in and weave. So at 2 to 3, I have almost a full second where I can move in, and I'm on GCD, and I would be doing nothing else. So in that sense, it's definitely a lot easier, even though it seems harder because your bars are moving faster. So in this clip, I got my buddy Hoggis to come out here and lust me so that I could get to the 1 to 2. So weaving at this haste level is definitely a lot of fun. I probably could have done this a little bit better, maybe squeezed out another couple of melee hits here, but just had the one shot. And now in terms of macros and WeakAuras, the first thing you want to get is definitely going to be your range check. So I have mine right here, and you've already seen it. It's the black and white box that pops up. And essentially it just turns white when I'm in melee range and goes back to black when I'm in range to shoot my bow. So there's a few different options out there that you can use, and I'll link the one that I use specifically. It's just a modified version of it's called Sheepy's Hunter range check or something like that. Some other things that I like to use are just ability WeakAuras, like this, just shows a cooldown on my Raptor Strike. Same thing for my multi-shot and for my arcane shot, and I'll have those linked as well. That's really all you need for WeakAuras to weave specifically. I use this attack speed WeakAura as well, just to it just makes it easy to know your rotation. And for macros, all you really need is your Raptor Strike macro. So it has stop casting, then cast Raptor Strike, start attack, and stop attack again. Now, most of the macros that I see don't have this last line that says stop attack. And this is just my opinion, but I find that it works better with the stop attack in it, because I found that sometimes you can accidentally toggle your melee attacks, and you just do not want that. So sometimes when you step back in range, your melee attack will be toggled. Another thing that I like to use is my auto shot macro. A lot of people are against this this line in particular that says cast auto shot. And all that really does is that it makes it so that I can spam it. And it'll never toggle off my ability. That's really nice to have when you're dealing with, let's say, trash packs and raids and that sort of thing. It just makes it so you never really lose any uptime, and you know, you accidentally click the button and all of a sudden, you know, your auto shot is toggled off. It also makes it so it targets the nearest enemy. Now that has some upsides and some pros and some cons. The cons would definitely be you have to be aware of whatever you target. Like let's say something is CC'd and you don't want to break that. It might accidentally toggle that. But ideally you just kind of tap target to different mobs, right? But it's definitely kind of a safety net so that you never accidentally toggle your auto shot off. Some people say that having cast exclamation point auto shot can engage the retry timer, which is true if you have it in abilities like your steady shot macro. I should also say that I don't even use a steady shot macro. I just have the raw ability put on my bars and then I manually click kill command. So only do this in an auto shot macro. Never macro cast exclamation point auto shot and anything else, because that will toggle the retry timer. Now as long as you do what I said earlier and you engage your auto shot just about as the cast is supposed to go off, then you're not going to have any issues with retry timers and it's all good. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Alright, so I guess final words here. All of this is gonna take a lot of practice. I've been doing it for a very long time now. Probably really started it sometime in early December of last year. Spent a lot of hours out here just practicing on these mobs. I probably should have put this at the start of the video, but you go to interface, combat, and you have to make sure that this option right here is off. Auto attack / auto shot off. If you have this turned on, then your white hits will be very sloppy and will not go off instantly. So yeah, best of luck to whoever made it to the end of the video. Thank you, and yeah, thanks. GG's.